Hello, my name is Samuel Chavez. I am a freshman here at UNM. I am a biology major, and usually when I'm not studying or hanging out with friends, I'm watching sports. Some of my favorite sports are basketball, football, and Formula One. Now, I really like Formula One because it's the pinnacle of motorsport. It's where all the best drivers compete for the chance of being called the world champion. And Formula One has always been this thing about bringing people together, bringing nations together. But with the whole Russian and Ukraine and conflict going on, that sort of question has been uh, brought into play, and people are wondering if it, what that means. Mainly because Formula One takes teams to several countries, all the way from the Americas, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. And the Formula One, the FIA, we're gonna hold a race in Russia, and with the whole conflict going around, a lot of people voiced their opinion that they didn't want to race in Russia. One in particular is four-time Formula One champion Sebastian Vettel, who is a German racer, and he voiced his opinion for myself. My own opinion is I should not go. I will not go. I think it's wrong to race in that country. Now, Sebastian Vettel has been a very vocal race car driver, I guess. He's always been an advocate for human rights and has always been someone who's not afraid to voice his opinion. And after he voiced his opinion, lots of other race car drivers decided to, voice their opinion. Mainly, another big one was Max Verstappen, who was a Dutch driver who was actually the more recent Formula One world champion. He won the 2021 season. And after some consideration on February 25th, the FIA decided, or the Federation Internationale de Automobile, decided to pull Russia from the calendar. And now everyone kind of expected this coming, but it kind of was a lot heavier when Russian driver Nikita Mazepin ended up losing his job because of it. Now, Nikita Mazepin is a Russian driver, and he races for Haas F1 team, which is an American-owned Formula One team. And their main title sponsor, Uralkali, is a Russian fertilizer country, and their main shareholder is Dmitry Mazepin, which is Nikita's father. And in Formula One, money is really big, so it's very common for big millionaire guys to kind of invest a lot of money into teams for the chance of having their kids sort of have a chance to race in Formula One, because Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport. And Haas is a very small team, so they have a very small budget, so they're it's very hard for them to compete with teams such as Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, all those teams who have really big budgets that will allow them to, invest heavily into their teams. So with the whole idea of this driver coming in because their dad kind of basically bought a team is something that a lot of people aren't really, too keen on. Because mainly a lot of the other drivers had to sort of work their way up through, in Formula One, usually you start off in karting, then you make your way to Formula 4, 3, 2, and then finally, hopefully, if you get enough sponsors, you end up in Formula 1. And Mazepin isn't a very good driver. He kind of came in last in almost every race, and when he was taken on by Haas, a video of him groping a woman sort of spread in the internet, and it kind of shattered his already poor public image. So basically, no one really liked the guy, but after his first season was done, and then, everyone he came out. He did a lot of good stuff. He was very kind. He kind of took everything, all the hate with grace, and he was very composed. And, everyone was like, all right, this guy is kind of, he might not be a good driver, but at least we know, his heart's in the right place. And then the Russian-Ukraine conflict erupted, and then Haas ultimately decided to terminate his contract for the 2022 season. And the FIA decided that he could race as long as he raced under a neutral flag and sort of didn't voice any support for the Russian invasion. But ultimately, it's a team's decision to decide whether or not they want to keep their driver, and they ended up firing him. And now I bring this up because politics has always been big in sports, especially here in America. We see a lot of athletes protesting, such as the national anthem, or take a stand for Black Lives Matter and advocate for the rights of African Americans here, but that's very condensed in the US, whereas sort of global politics kind of takes a forefront here in this situation because Formula One is seen by people all around the world. So when news about a driver being fired, people see it from everywhere, including Russia. And I wanted to bring up this idea of should Russian athletes sort of be penalized or even lose their jobs because of something that they ultimately have no control over. Um, I was reading about how certain soccer leagues refuse to play in Russia or let like Russian teams compete in certain cups, and ultimately, I feel like it's unfair for these Russian athletes to sort of be snubbed from their careers because of an action that they ultimately don't have any control over. And politics has always been in sports, all the way from like the 1961 all the way up to now, basically. And it's this idea of like, should politics play a role in sports, or ultimately should we just kind of let the athletes, play the game? And that's something that I feel like has not been answered to its fullest, and is something that's gonna keep being discussed. But I just wanted to bring this up as I felt like it's something that I should bring up to you, and I feel like this is also a very important thing right now, especially in this time. And I'm hopefully you guys just kind of think a lot about more how like this is impacting people on both sides. So thank you for hearing about my speech, and I hope you have a good day.